Making people cry.
She's a waterbender.
Welcome to Inchworm,
the podcast in which we are inching through worm. I'm Jenny.
And I'm Ted. And this week on Inchworm, Insinuation 2.4.
That's right.
It's bullying time.
I did expect it to be worse than it was.
Okay.
I kind of expected them to beat her up. That's not what happened. Should I tell you what happened?
Please tell me what happened.
All right. So we left Taylor coming out of the classroom. Mr. Gladly had just offered to help her report her bullies to the principal. She comes out of the classroom and 9 girls are waiting for her. So the trio, which is Emma, Madison, and Sophia, are waiting for her, and then 6 of their minions. I definitely thought she was going to get horribly beat up and have to use her bugs to attack them. That's not at all what happened. They start insulting her. She talks about how they're not being really creative or witty about it. They're just kind of continuing this sort of rhythm of just saying insulting things, even if they're not obviously untrue or contradictory. Taylor's just I'm just going to hang back and not do anything. She sees Mr. Gladly come out of the classroom. He witnesses them saying things to her. They're talking to her in the third person. You know, she smells, she's so ugly. They're clearly talking to her, but they're talking in the third person. I don't know whether Mr. Gladly knew they were talking about her. It seems like he knew there was something bad going on, but he just kind of looks at her sadly and then goes on his way, and she's a little shocked by that. She feels like they're losing steam. She's I just have to wait it out for a little bit longer. If I fight back, it'll be worse. And then Emma steps forward. Emma's the one who used to be her best friend. Emma's oh, you seem upset. Are you going to cry yourself to sleep for a week? And Taylor realizes that's a reference to something she told Emma back when they were friends, when Taylor's mom died, which is a revelation that we should talk about. And afterwards, a month later, Emma was oh, you're so resilient, and, really saying admiring things about Taylor. And Taylor was are you kidding? I cried myself to sleep for a week. And then she cried on Emma's shoulder, and it seems like it was a really meaningful experience for them, or moment for them. And Emma remembers that. It was just a year before high school, so it was just a couple years ago. And is weaponizing it. And that gets to Taylor, and she starts to cry a little bit. And that, of course, riles them up. And she tries to grab her bag and leave, but Sophia's playing keep away with her bag, her backpack. And so Taylor just abandons her backpack, which has the textbook that she just replaced in it and has to pay $35 for. And it has the art project that she just repaired that she's sure she's not going to see again now. And she leaves the school, and thinks about how, I stuck to my rule. I'm not going to use powers in my school life for various reasons, which we should talk about. And she kind of leaves thinking, all right, what am I going to do with the afternoon?
Yeah. Yeah, so it sounds like you were expecting things to go a little badly. My reaction of rereading this is these girls are awful. I mean,
they absolutely
especially
are.
Emma and Sophia.
Yeah.
I'd almost count Madison among the lightweights. I feel both with the thing last chapter where it's oh, we put juice on her seat. Again, juice. And then in this chapter, she's she smells like gold juice. She maybe isn't as creative at the bullying as Emma and Sophia are.
I don't know if Sophia is either. Maybe you know more about Sophia than I do. It seems like Emma is the real brains behind this operation. I have some thoughts about Emma.
Well, what I would say about Sophia is you have Emma gets the cutting words in that makes Taylor cry.
Yeah.
But I read Sophia as I'm going to add injury to insult almost.
Yeah,
and
she's
Taylor
the brawn. Yeah.
Taylor can pick a fight if she wants her stuff, or she can leave. That to me is very calculated.
Yeah.
And maybe Sophia isn't as interested in
but she's the one who's the athlete, right?
She's the track star. Yeah,
she's the brawn, Emma's the brains.
I very much get Emma's the ringleader and Sophia's the lancer when it comes to their dynamic.
Yeah, okay.
But I'm trying to limit myself to just this chapter.
Fair enough. Okay, so Emma says this, which is truly cutting. And then you hear the backstory, and it seems like she has completely changed. The way Taylor talks about her, she's a really supportive friend. She's also crying when Taylor finds out that her mom died. she says this, you're so resilient. I'm so impressed with you. And then Taylor's like, you kidding? I've been crying myself to sleep. And then she cries on Emma's shoulder. Like, it seems like they had a really good friendship. It wasn't one of those, like, it was toxic the whole time. Like, definitely not.
Yeah.
And then when she does make Taylor cry with this comment, it's like you have a superpower, Emma, one of the girls tittered. I've been talking about how I want Emma to get a power because I think it'll be fun to have that sort of crossover. I think she already has a power. I think she has a psychological superpower.
Okay.
At one point, and Taylor says in this that Emma's like basically the top dog in the student population. I think that she has some sort of like influence, mind control. I don't know. I haven't quite made it add up. Like what was it? Taylor went to camp or something and she came back and Emma wasn't her friend anymore. Or
right.
Like
and was that the same summer Taylor's mom died? I'm not totally sure of the timeline either. I didn't think to look it up.
I think it was after that. I want to say it's like... Because her mom died like a year before high school. I feel like it was the summer right before high school.
Yeah, so maybe, right. So maybe a year passed.
Yeah.
And then...
So it doesn't seem like it was directly related to Taylor's mom dying, but I haven't quite figured out what it would be that would... Like, something really dramatic happened in Emma's life, I assume.
Mm-hmm.
Because, I mean, why not? Why have it just be, I don't know, kids change when it can be something dramatic. I'm not sure what power it would be that would, like, did she just discover, like, wow, I can have social power now. Who cares about Taylor? Why would she bully her? It doesn't really quite add up.
Right.
I feel like it must have been something, like, traumatic or, like, something she learned about Taylor or, like, I don't know.
I mean, I had that, even Emma's powers theory aside, I had that reaction as well. Just, like, the contrast between past Emma of 2 or 3 years ago and Emma today. Like, what happened to her? And in particular, the whole dynamic in this scene is... Taylor is basically ignoring all of the, like, mean stuff they're saying. And it doesn't seem like it's getting to Taylor. It's like it's annoying her because she's stuck.
Yeah.
Like, they've sort of penned her in, but they're not, restraining
she's very analytical about thinking about it. We can dig into that more, too.
But Emma is standing back.
She knows it's not really getting to her. Yeah.
Right. And I think Taylor is saying she's looking at Emma. Like, I feel like Taylor and Emma are sizing each other up. Yeah. And then Emma... presumably is thinking, like, what is the worst thing that I can say to Taylor?
Yeah.
And steps up and totally cold-blooded says
Absolutely.
basically like, hey, remember that time when your mom died and you were really struggling? Like,
and you turned to me and I comforted you? Let me throw that back in your face.
It's making me so upset just, like, imagining it. And so that... for someone to do that, this question of, like, what happened to Emma or, like, why is she this way?
Yeah, it's very much
so
a, like,
interesting.
hurt people kind of thing. Like,
probably.
Because, like, why would you, like, it doesn't make any sense to, like, she needs to have some kind of motivation. It's much more interesting if she has some kind of motivation.
Well, I mean, yeah, and you do, because it's Taylor's story, you want it to be Taylor specific.
Yeah.
I think...
which I don't think it is
there are a lot
necessarily.
of reasons why you might bully people to increase your social status.
But why would you bully your former best friend? Like, I feel like if you were a bully, you want to bully someone to increase your social status, like, most people in that situation would bully someone who wasn't their former best friend, or if they were bullying their former best friend, they wouldn't go so far as to use, like, the most important, like, intimate, meaningful moments in their friendship.
Right.
Especially, like, unprovoked. Like, it's not like Taylor did something back and she's mad.
Yeah.
Like, it's completely cold-blooded. Like, raises some really interesting questions about, like, who is Emma? Why? What's her damage? Like,
yeah, exactly. And there's definitely more to the story. We don't know what happens to Taylor earlier in the year. There was a very notorious bullying incident that the trio were involved in somehow. Yeah. So, like, this is clearly an escalation from the bullying we've seen in the story depicted so far.
It's probably not an escalation from
it's certainly not the worst thing that has... It's not the worst thing that has happened to Taylor because of these girls.
Right.
I was going to ask you about the Emma's powers theory because you had been talking about it and it came up. So I was going to ask you, like, is it more like lampshading or like foreshadowing? Like, do you see this as sort of like planting a seed? Is it just like the kind of thing that, you might say?
I'm sure it was deliberate.
Yeah.
It could be a red herring.
Yeah.
But I suspect it is not. I suspect it's foreshadowing that she does have something going on. It doesn't seem like we haven't seen anything to imply that she is directly influencing Taylor's mind, but it could be like a knowledge-based power.
Yeah.
Even though, again, what she said to Taylor, she had she would have known without powers. But maybe there's like a strategy aspect, or I don't know. Yeah. There's no immediate power that I can jump to that would explain her behavior, but there's something there.
Yeah, very interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, where do you want to go next?
Can we talk about her mom?
Yeah. How did you feel with this revelation?
So at first when she said her dad texted her to say her mom had died in a car accident, I was like, oh my God, her dad lied to her about her mom dying. And then I was like, what did we actually read in that interlude? And I was like, oh, this is a wily narrative voice. So what we see in the interlude with her dad about her mom. So we have, for the 20th time, he felt the urge to ask his wife for help, for advice, for support, but her side of the bed was empty, and it had been for some time. Daily, it seemed, he was struck with the urge to call her cell phone. He knew it was stupid, she wouldn't pick up, and if he dwelt on that for too long, he became angry at her, which just made him feel worse.
I'm glad you read that part, but I want to read the next sentence as well.
Okay, yeah.
He wondered, even as he knew the answer, why he hadn't gotten Taylor a cell phone.
Oh, yeah, okay. Because we find out later in the chapter that her mom died texting while driving. When I was looking back at this, I hadn't gotten to that part.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's the obvious conclusion from what I just read is that she left. She won't pick up her phone. He's mad at her for leaving. It's very sneaky writing.
Yeah. Well, I was wondering, so I guess you're calling it sneaky. Did you feel tricked? Did it feel like...
No, it doesn't feel like an unreliable narrator, because when you look back, you're like, oh no, everything he said is totally consistent.
Yeah. It's
more like a Megan Whalen Turner thing, where like the Queen's Thief series, where you look back and you're like, oh my gosh, the text totally supports the revelation at the end. We just wouldn't have guessed, it's very clever.
Yeah, I feel like it's withholding the tragedy of her mom's dead for this moment when Taylor's feeling it. I think it's a little more powerful that it's a surprise to us in this moment when Taylor's feeling so upset about it.
Extra intriguing because it's sort of a mystery. Why did she leave? Is she going to come back? What's going on with that? And then you're like, oh no. It's the thing you've talked about in Game of Thrones, where the tragedy of the tragedies is that they cut off a storyline you were intrigued about.
Yeah.
This creates a storyline I was intrigued about. I was like, why did she leave? What did the dad do to her?
How is Taylor's mom going to be part of the story?
Back? Does she have powers? What's going on with that? And so this hits extra hard because you're like, oh no, she actually is dead. That's...
Oh, I was just going to add a few more pieces that kind of I was picking up on rereading. One is... it recontextualizes the routines defined us bit from the interlude, where she talks about, or maybe it was from the beginning of this arc, where she's like, well, I have to get up, I have to run. Me and my dad, we always have our routines.
I didn't pick up on that.
And what we learn is that Danny totally fell apart for a week, and Taylor ended up staying at Emma's. And
she wasn't getting anything to eat.
Gets the impression that Emma's mom yelled at Danny to be like, hey, you have to take care of Taylor. It's up to you. And then they managed to establish some kind of routine. And
they need that to survive.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's so real and so sad that it's they haven't talked about going to family therapy or something, but it's they've managed to make it work. They have this routine. They have this structure. It seems like Danny and Taylor really do care about each other, but they've built their family on this grief that they were really struggling to deal with.
Yeah, and it also, I think, is going to affect things going forward if this routine with her dad, if sort of the rhythms of her daily life are really psychologically important to her, she's not going to want to throw that away and change her life in huge ways. She's going to want, I think it's extra pressure to sort of keep the normalcy going, which is a fun contrast with the superhero stuff. Right.
And it's also it's just a little more pressure maybe not to tell her dad, because what they've built is fragile.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, she wouldn't want to worry him.
Yeah.
Because, he already lost one of the two most important people in his life. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. It adds some, like, because she's like, I can't tell him. And I was like, why couldn't she? And this adds a good motivation.
I'll also add the other thing that is recontextualized, which this was genuinely new to me, this reread, which is why I want to point out to it. I think this hadn't clicked for me. But the impression you get, right, is that, oh, he's sort of like maybe keeping a lid on all this anger, and he like drove his wife away, like it's sort of like, and what we learn is he said in his interlude, he only ever lost his temper once at his wife. And Taylor was there or saw.
Yeah, and that it was the last time he saw her, his wife.
And what we learn is that it's after she died.
Yeah, yelling at her body.
I could remember overhearing my dad berating my mother's body because she'd been texting while driving and she was the only one to blame.
Yeah.
And because I had in my head, like, he and Annette had a fight and she left.
Right,
and then this is a different thing. But I think actually...
Oh, absolutely. That's what he was talking about.
Right. It's the, anger that she's not there anymore. Yeah. And given the risks Taylor is taking, I feel like that also plays into the sort of like, if Taylor had gone out and gotten like crushed under a building by Lung or something and never come back, like it would have been the same kind of thing happening to Danny again, right? It's like,
oh gosh, poor Danny.
Taylor might be aware of that to some degree, of like, oh, I'm kind of playing fast and loose with my safety.
Right. And also you learn what kind of situation makes Danny angry.
Yeah.
We know that he was angry when people at school failed to protect Taylor well enough. He yelled at her principal and he yelled at the teacher. He said probably didn't deserve it. And he also yelled at Annette's body when she didn't protect herself. And so, something bad happened to her. So it seems like the people he cares about being hurt, he'll be mad at the people who do that.
Right.
Even if it's they themselves doing it.
Yeah. No, right. Exactly. And that... I feel like it's, with this chapter's information, it really tunes Danny to be even more sympathetic. Like, I think he has a more, like, he's harder on himself. His anger still isn't
productive. It's still damaging, but
now that I'm thinking about it, it may totally make sense. He's harder on himself than other people would be. Like, you see someone getting angry in a situation like that, and you're like, yeah, you should be angry. That totally makes sense.
And that makes sense why Taylor isn't scared of him. We haven't seen that from her. When it was, oh, maybe he yelled at his wife and drove her away, that made less sense. But when it's, oh, of course, he yelled at his wife's body for getting herself killed, like, that doesn't seem like the kind of thing that would scare a kid to hear.
Yeah. It's so sad. It's just really, really sad.
Yeah.
I feel like it's the fact that you're learning about all of this in the middle of Taylor being bullied makes it like doubly sad.
And when it's a bullying situation where you're like, oh, okay, so they're insulting her, but she doesn't care about these insults. Like, it sucks, but this could have been so much worse. And then it really hits like a real emotional chord for her. And
I feel like I'm already, on a reread, of course, but I feel like we've had just enough time to get to know Taylor and Danny that we're like genuinely sad. Yeah, whereas if you get the first chapter, well, since my
mom died, it doesn't matter to you.
You don't care because you're not invested. And we're like just invested enough for Wildbow.
So it's like, such a good narrative trick to give us enough context to not have it be unmentioned, but to not explain it until this point.
Yeah. Oh man.
Okay, so I want to talk about Mr. Gladly.
I'm just going to pause it. Based on the way you summarized it, you're willing to cut this guy some slack. The way that I read it...
No, he
makes eye contact with Taylor, he sees that she's being bullied, and he does nothing.
Yeah.
And I think that the way Mr. Gladly is thinking about it is, well, I just offered to help and she said no, so it's on her.
Yeah.
And that is not okay. It's
definitely not okay. You're right that I felt like it was important to give that context.
Exactly.
But I do think he's someone who's like, well, you should tell the principal. And like, that's as far as he's willing to go. Yeah. He's not actually willing to do anything to protect her. And that totally makes sense with what we've seen of his character, where he's just like, everyone needs to like me.
Yeah.
Very like weak person.
Right. And and it's like, if Emma truly is the queen bee at the school, of course he's not going to cross Emma, right? I'm sure he's with it enough to know.
Well, yeah, he is subject to the social hierarchies because he wants to be one of the kids. Like, he wants to be popular.
Exactly.
So, he is not
Yeah.
He's not outside of that.
Or, I mean, even less charitably, maybe he's like, maybe he doesn't like Taylor that much.
Yeah.
You know, like he's willing.
Yeah, he might kind of scorn her for, like, yeah, no one likes a bullying victim. Yeah.
But I just feel like this is, again, so like Danny is getting more and more sympathetic the more that we learn. And then like Mr. Gladly, I already found him very annoying.
He sucked at the beginning, and then he became a little more sympathetic. It's like, oh, at least he noticed her bullying. That's good, even if he was not very helpful in how he offered, to help. But now it's like, no, it's not that there's no coming back from this, but he would have to like actively be heroic to come back from this, which maybe he will be, but I think he just sucks.
And I think it's just such a mistake to be like, if people who need help don't like ask for it in exactly the right way, then they don't deserve it. That's like such a mistake. That's just the thing
that he can tell himself to avoid having to put his neck out.
No, right, exactly. Yeah. So I feel like he's in a position of authority, and it's not on bullying victims to stop bullies, right? Like he should be be doing it.
But I'm sure he doesn't know how. Like I'm sure he doesn't know a way to diffuse the situation that wouldn't result in him being a target also, and I can see why he wouldn't choose that. I think it's the cowardly option, but it makes sense.
It's fair, right? It's probably a systemic failure as well as a Mr. Gladly sucks, but what we know about so
Mr.
far
Gladly
is that
sucks.
Mr. Gladly sucks. Yeah. One thing...
He's incompetent and weak. He wouldn't be able to find a good solution anyway.
Exactly. And I think it's interesting because you were sort of saying if Mr. Bully sees her get it... If Mr. Bully... if Mr. Gladly sees her getting beat up, then he would have to intervene. And so it isn't... the narrative didn't push it maybe to that point.
Right.
In this moment.
Yeah.
That also
it would be fairly straightforward for him to figure out how to stop someone who's getting beat up, or at least to go for help or to shout or wade in some way. But as Taylor says, girls play dirty.
Do you want to talk about the gender dynamics of battle?
Yeah. Well,
here?
So first of all, she's so analytical about thinking about this bullying, and like you were saying, it's not really reaching her. But I think this is also something that we saw from her in actual battle. Like, she stays very cool. She really thinks about the dynamics going on and about, the strategy. It seems like she's someone who will be very effective in...
Yeah, very analytical, very observant.
Yeah, very good at using what's at her disposal, in the right way. Because, so she's not actively fighting back. And we had talked about that a little before, but here we really get sort of an explanation, which it feels like a very insightful explanation. At a certain point, I'd come to the conclusion that it was easier to sit back and take it when it came to most things. They wanted me to fight back because everything was stacked in their favor. If I stood up for myself and they still won, it only served to feed their egos. If I came out ahead in some way, then they got more persistent and mean for the next time. So there's nothing that will actually help.
Yeah.
She can't win, and the way to minimize damage is to just kind of stand back and not do anything.
Yeah. And it's interesting that it makes sense out of a sense of self-preservation to want to minimize harm. Mm-hmm. She wants justice, but she's not trying to get it. She's trying to minimize harm.
Yeah. She doesn't hope for justice out of this situation.
Yeah. I was really interested by, I think you sort of brought this up, the gendered powers.
Yeah.
So I wanted to bring up the way that Taylor talks about gender here and kind of, I'll give my take, but I'm curious what yours is. Mm-hmm. She kind of is like, man, boys have it so easy because they just beat each other up. And I'm fine getting beat up. Maybe I get some punches in. And then after,
Yeah, she's like, I'm in great shape. I would get at least to do some damage.
Yeah, exactly. And so
the school would have to take notice.
She's sort of and then boy psychology, once you beat each other up, you sort of go your separate ways. You shake on, she kind of has this well, it's just simpler when you can punch it out. And then she's like, girls are smart, girls play dirty.
I don't actually know if she says that about boy psychology. She does say that she would have gotten eventually shoved to the ground and kicked while she was down, but things would have ended there instead of dragging on like they were here. I think she means it would have ended there for this encounter, not that it would have resolved the bullying problem.
Maybe. I think that's a good read on it. And I don't think Taylor is really saying a boys are from Mars, girls are from Venus type of thing, but I think she is calling out successfully that brains fighting, what Emma is doing, and sort of the power she wields in the school, is much worse and more like damaging than brawn fighting. Taylor's like, I would rather get beat up every week than deal with Emma.
Yeah.
And I think that that's actually pretty reasonable.
Yeah. And she's not necessarily saying like, all guys are this way and all girls are this way. Right. She's talking about the social dynamics of groups of guys and girls, which is interesting. Like, this is written by a man who's never been a teenage girl, as far as I know. This sort of feels vaguely true to me. I've never been a teenage boy. I don't feel like I'm in a position to be like, yeah, this is absolutely true of like what guys would do and what girls would do.
Yeah.
I've never really been in this kind of intense bullying situation. So I'm not sure how much it reflects reality, how much it just reflects sort of popular understanding of social dynamics. I'm not sure.
Well, the reason I bring it up is because the reason that I bring this up is when Taylor got saved by that villain group last arc, you were sort of going into like men are more brawny or use their bodies and the women are more controlly.
It's a cliche in superhero powers that like the women do like control other things or have psychological powers and the men have like physically altered, like their own bodies are powerful. Right.
But so this is another, I think, like gender dynamics of ways people fight thing to keep an eye on. Part of the reason I want to track it is I can definitely think of some counterexamples that will come up in the narrative later, but it'll be interesting to see how that develops as we keep reading.
I do want to read this part where she's saying like, you know, if I decked Emma, she would run to the office with some fabricated story, her friends backing up her version of events. For most, ratting to the faculty was social suicide. That's why Taylor's not doing it. But Emma was more or less top dog. If she went to the principal, people would only take things more seriously. By the time I got back to school, they would have spread the story through the grapevine in a way that made me look like a total psycho. Things would get worse. Emma would be seen as the victim, and girls who had previously ignored the bullying would join in on Emma's behalf. That's like some real three-dimensional chess analysis to be doing. I mean, it sounds plausible. It also sounds like someone who's going to be a great strategist.
Yeah.
And it sounds, out. Also, I read that before we got to the bit about like, Emma, it's like you have a superpower. And now I'm like, I don't know again what it would be, but I feel like there's something there.
Making people cry.
She's a waterbender.
Another example of Taylor feels strong emotions. Taylor's powers are overwhelming her senses. Taylor shuts that down.
Wait, did they do that in this chapter? I missed that.
I think it's right after she starts crying. She has a bit. Let me find it.
Oh, yeah, I missed this line. My power roared at the edges of my consciousness, buzzing, pressuring me. I suppressed it.
It's like the moment after Emma's like, did you cry for a week or something?
Yeah.
And Taylor's like, I love the way she says like, fuck me, it worked. Like, she's self-aware in the moment that she's not able to control her emotional response, but she's still thinking and like, oh, that's like point to Emma.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. But she does have this whole, like, she really gets into why she doesn't want to use her powers to resolve a situation like this. And it's like a few different... So she says she wasn't going to break the promise she'd made to herself. No using powers on them. That was the line I wasn't crossing. So one of the reasons seems to be, like, even if I did something utterly innocuous, like give them all lice, love that, I didn't trust myself to stop there. That's one thing, like, maybe she thinks she'd be too damaging.
Going carry on the school.
Exactly. I didn't trust myself to keep from offering blatant hints that I had powers or spoiling my secret identity just to see the looks on their faces when they realized the girl they'd been tormenting was a bona fide superhero.
And that's that wanting validation piece.
Yeah, and that's so relatable and so hard to resist, especially when they're just like standing there insulting her and trying to make her feel like scum. And she has this, you know, ace in the hole. And I think part of it is like she knows it would be stupid. She knows it would be a bad idea. Like, yeah, she says she knew the long-term ramifications would spoil that. But I think part of it is if she told them that and they still tormented her, that would be the worst outcome. Like, then she'd have no secret to like retreat to. And that's sort of related to what she says. She says, perhaps the most important, I rationalized, was keeping the two worlds separate. What use was escapism if the world I was escaping to was muddled with the people and things I was trying to avoid?
Yeah.
And I think that she's not quite getting at that idea of like, I can take the bullying better when I have a secret. But I think that is part of it, that she has this secret sense of worth that they can't touch.
Right. Yeah, and it is also like, what she is positing with that escapism thing is like the world of superheroes is like a fun romp where I can like do awesome things and like put bad guys away, and my real world sucks and I get bullied all the time. And that's
superhero stuff is escapism. Like you can tell we're early in the story. She hasn't developed any problems in that world yet.
Exactly.
But I mean, I think that the superhero world is going to mirror in some ways the patterns we've already seen.
Were there any other details or things that jumped out?
Let me see. I did want to mention Emma apparently thought that Taylor's mom was the coolest adult in the world. Which is really sweet. And also, like, from what we hear about, like, Emma being supportive a month later, like, it doesn't sound like she was just friends with Taylor because her mom was cool and then she was like, oh, she's gone, I'm leaving. Like, but I do wonder what role Taylor's mom played in their friendship and their becoming friends and, like, Emma wanting to stay friends. Like, maybe, her perception of Taylor's, like, status or worth or something dropped once she didn't have, like, this cool mom.
I'll just say one other thing.
Okay.
And maybe I'll cut this, but I don't remember if Taylor was on your gaydar at all. But for the sake of your shipping interests, there is the bit that when she's recalling her sitting on the swings with Emma says, I admire you. And Taylor says, why? Completely mystified about the fact that someone gorgeous and amazing and popular like her could find something to admire in me.
Oh, my slash goggles are not on. My femme slash goggles. I did not pick up on that, but that is a great point. She gave me her shoulder to cry on and our coffee was cold before I was done.
Yeah, a really sweet moment, which makes it all the worse that Emma has.
Maybe Emma just realized that she was gay and was in love with Taylor and was so horrified that she, she's really just has a ton of internalized homophobia and has to bully Taylor because that's the only way to, like, turn on those feelings that she has.
Interesting, yeah.
To suppress them and punish them.
Yeah.
I suspect that's not where it's going, but that would be cool in a dark way.
I hear you have some predictions.
Okay, so this chapter ends with, before the thought of going back to school had even crossed my mind, I found myself wondering what I was going to do to fill my afternoon. I think she's going to message Tattletale.
Yeah.
I think she wants the escapism right now. And that's, the cool world where she gets to do secret spy work.
Continuing your prediction.
Villains. Yeah. She's going to insinuate herself into their gang. I know. Look at that
that's
word.
The name of the arc. Amazing.
Almost, but not quite, obviously, because that's insinuation.
I regret to inform you there are no new cape names coming in the next chapter for you to speculate on.
All right. I bet there are some familiar cape names.
I can confirm or deny this, but I choose not to.
All right, well, I guess we'll just have to wait and see next time.
We'll have to wait and see. Worm is a web serial by J.C. McCrae. You can read Worm at parahumans.wordpress.com and support the author at patreon.com/wildbow. Follow us on Tumblr and Blue Sky at Inchworm Podcast, or find our Discord link and any other updates on inchwormpodcast.com.